Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Hot Seat. I am your host, Priscilla Moy, and every week we're going to introduce you to some amazing guests, and we're just going to jump right into it. She actually is one of the Dream Tracks actresses and models. She came back from New York recently at the IMTA convention, and let's hear her story. So, everyone, please welcome Destiny Blacque. Hi, thank you so much for coming. Please take a seat. Thank you for being here. I know that this is not your first time in this studio.
It is not.
So you guys, she actually is tied to one of our guests that we had last week. We had Cameron on here last week.
Yes.
And we all know Dawn Sullivan. She is actually the host of Vegas Views. And you actually were a guest on there as well.
Yes, I was, yes.
And Dawn Sullivan is, tied to Dream Tracks. I'm pretty sure she's an instructor and all of those things. So you're here.
I'm here.
Fresh from New York.
Yes.
And I want to hear everything. So I looked on your Instagram page. There's a lot. You're an actress. You're a model. All these. That's what you're going through Dream Tracks for. But then you also have some dancing on there as well.
Yes, I do.
So, and you're 22.
I am.
You're young. And you went to UNLV, I'm pretty sure, right?
I did.
Yes,
I did.
Girl, I found your LinkedIn. So basically, I want to hear everything. I want to hear your school experience and why you chose what you're doing now and what your goals are.
Yeah, so I was a very rambunctious kid. I always wanted to show someone I was doing, if it was dancing, singing, making up stories. I always wanted to do that. And my mother was a singer, so it never came across as weird to me. So, of course, I grew up in California, the Culver City area, so that's where, all this kind of started and brewed up. And then we moved out here to Vegas around, 2012, 2013, and I kind of lost interest in it. I was like, oh, it's kind of, when you grow up, you hit puberty, you don't do the same things you did as a kid. And so, in high school, I actually went to Cimarron here in Vegas, and I was like, okay, what am I going to pick for electives? And I chose theater. Okay. It was the last one on there. Nothing else was available. I was like, whatever, I'll just sit there and just be bored. And then fortunately, it actually grew into something that I ended up loving. I had a teacher there. He was there for a couple years. He had a little favoritism towards some kids, so I didn't get to do much until my senior year. So my teacher there, his name is Mr. Curcio, and he put me in everything. He's like, you're so talented. You have to try and do this. I got leads and mostly all of the plays. I was super excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that I love doing. And I'm like, I don't know why. It just comes easy to me. I was like, I just do it. And my mind is empty. Everything goes away. Sometimes people ask oh, what's going through your head? I'm like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's it's crazy. And I did go to UNLV for a little bit. I did go for theater. And then I did have a little rough patch. I actually lost my mom 2 weeks before I graduated high school. So my world changed completely. So I was like, I'm not going to try to go for Juilliard. I'm just going to stay in Vegas, work, live, live, live. And then after a little bit, I moved in with my dad. And he was like, I think you should start acting again. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, oh, whatever. We'll see if I still have it in me. And eventually, I found Dream Tracks, and I was like, I love it here. I was like, I'm never leaving.
Yeah. So what pulls you in about theater? I mean, because differently, I hear a lot of actors that come here, and they're all about film. Myself, I went to school. I have a BFA in acting and theater, so I understand, the difference between what it's like being a film actor and a theater actor, and if you stay within those, because they're two completely different careers.
100%, yeah.
There's something that pulls you there.
There is.
So what was it about theater in general? Was it the lights? Was it just kind of you on the stage?
Yeah. I feel like I was always surrounded by loving people. It's a different energy. I tell this to people all this time. I'm like, oh, you should do theater. You should do theater. Because I'm still new to TV and film. I'm like, no, theater is something that it's really hard to explain. You kind of have to be there to feel what it is. It's a different pull. It's you're almost stepping into a different universe in a way. It's once you get used to it, the crowd is not there, the lights are not there, you're just you, but you're not you. You're just
there's an adrenaline.
It is,
I think people don't understand unless you're a performer.
100%, yeah. It's different. It's totally different from TV and film.
So do you want to pursue a life on the stage, or are you trying to move past that and go into film, or do you feel like your heart's made for the stage?
I feel like my heart is definitely made for theater. I think it's something that I'm just meant to do. Of course, I do love TV and film acting, which I'm in school for now. But like after New York, I was so grateful that I got a scholarship to a New York conservatory.
Okay.
I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, instantly, I was like, oh, I'm going to do musical theater. Like, I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why won't you do acting in film? I'm like, no, there's something else. There's something else.
Reasons.
Yeah.
That's something for you. So, you mean, you look like a really sporty person. So I feel like, you have this athleticism that would be required for musical theater.
Right.
I've seen all my counterparts, and I have a dance minor, so I can tell how much, stamina you need to have to constantly do musicals all the time.
100%.
So musical theater is definitely the way you would want to go versus the plays. So you're going to train in singing, you're going to train in the dance, you're going to train in acting. That's amazing.
Yes.
So tell us about, IMTA, now this is kind of like a showcase, right?
Yes.
And you're going to have a bunch of agents out there watching you do your book, you do your thing. So how was that experience for you? What did you do? What was your performance like?
I loved it. I'd never been to New York before that. So like I was like when you get there, like everyone's like, oh, people are mean in New York. I was like, oh, these are my people.
Yeah.
I was like, I love it here. I was like, I don't want to go back home. But I was in, I want to say at least like 13 to 15 different like competitions. So I was doing improvisation, cold reads, monologues, modeling, high fashion runway, commercial print, anything and everything essentially under the sun. I didn't go for singing because I am a trained singer. I do take classes here. Yeah. His name is Cody. I freaking love him. But I'm scared. I was like, I hate singing in front of people. I was like, I'm not going to do it. So I didn't do that. But like, it was such a good experience. I was like, I wanted to go to network and connect with people and like be in an area and in like a community where we're all going for the same goal. And I never felt any sense of like competition. Like I was like, oh, like what if they're mean? I'm like, okay, I'm like, stay to myself. But like I didn't feel the need to do that. Like everyone there was like very open arms, and I loved it.
Yeah, you have a New York vibe from the hair.
Thank you.
Because I'm from Chicago, so I'm a Midwest, and I've had a lot of friends that go to New York. I've been in New York. I felt the vibe of that city, and it's 100% different from the West Coast. Like
100%.
the people are completely different. The way they attack, life and daily work is completely different than it would be here. Right. So I can't wait to see what you do with that because I feel like you're gonna have a big culture change. Yeah, but the good thing is that you're young and you're very open-minded. Yeah. Which I feel is huge. Yes. So tell me about your Dream Tracks experience. What was that like? How long were you in it for? So that way maybe some people that would be doing Dream Tracks, like let's talk about that.
So before I went to Dream Tracks, I actually went to another school and it just didn't work out for me. I felt very condemned and like shameful of my acting. I was like, this place just isn't for me. And then right then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try Dream Tracks because I saw Dream Tracks. So I was like, I don't know. Like I had a friend at the other school, so I went with that one. So I walk in, everyone is just so nice and warm and like, hi, how's it going? I was like, oh my gosh. And like, I almost had like a little PTSD from the other school because like we weren't allowed to make friends or like we weren't allowed to like socialize after class. So like I'm hearing all these people and I'm like, oh, what? Like, it's okay to like hang out, like, like network and stuff. And Frank is like the warmest hug like anyone can ask for. Like, like a lot of teachers are like, they'll do it for the money. And you can just tell Frank is not like that. He pushes me through my, like the walls that I hit and like the down days. He's like, Destiny, you're not going to have an update every day and you need to be okay with that. I'm like, you're right. And you can tell that he cares about his students. And I was like, I freaking love this place. I was like, I'm never ever going to another acting school here in Vegas. I'm Dream Tracks 100% and I love it there. It's just such a good place to learn, but also a good place to like grow a family. Like we are a family. Like sometimes, like we have our differences, but like we all care for each other. Yeah. It's just something you can't like pay for. Like no amount of money is ever worth like that connection. Right.
Yeah. And what was your favorite class? Because I know that they kind of train you not only in acting, but you learn runway walk. And it's very brief from what I've, researched and learned about, things like the school is like this. Yeah. Like it's kind of a really quick catching on and then you kind of have to they throw you out into the wolves. So what was your favorite part apart from kind of the morale in the place? What was the most important thing that you took from that you're going to carry with you forever?
Being able to be okay with the decisions I make as an actor. Coming from a place where it was more so the teacher's way or the highway, I was like, okay, like I guess I understand. And then when I got to Dream Tracks, Frank was like, no, we do like a breakdown. So like you break down your character, you do like the beginning, middle, end of a sentence, all this other stuff. And it's like, you know what? If you want to play this character that way, do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to stop you. Just be strong in your actions, be strong in your character. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, that's when I instantly knew. I was like, this man is just like pure gold.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not forcing me to be someone that he sees the character being. He wants it to be my own perspective. And
he wants to make a choice.
100%.
choice and not have that choice.
And I was like, I love that. That's what sold me on this role. I was like, oh yeah, I can literally be here forever.
Because like the biggest thing that a lot of actors like don't understand is there's 4 major techniques on what kind of acting technique you're going to train under. And some work for some, and then some work for others, right? And so when you find that through your journey as an actor, after you go to like further training, you're going to be able to be strong enough and know that this is how I'm going to approach this role. Obviously, there are things that are going to come into play with direction and things like that, but you would already know how to alter.
100%,
right?
yeah.
So I'm glad that you kind of found out and were confident in a way that you could be like, no, this is how I approach the character. You know, and I think a lot of actors don't. You know, they all want to be, you know, method actors.
Right.
I don't know why. But that's like the biggest, most common thing. All these actors are like, I want to be a method actor. And I'm like, do you even know what that means?
Right.
I don't even know what that means.
Like,
I'm just like, okay. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't know it was that intense. I'm like, oh my God, never mind. But like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's amazing that, you know, the way that they're approaching this is very gentle and
100%.
And you know, but it's going to set you up for the New York aggression.
100%.
So I'm glad you have that foundation.
Yeah.
So what are your goals? Like, where do you want to end up post school? And
I think for me right now, I'm just gonna go where the wind takes me. Like I don't have like a set place. Like I don't have to go to New York and I don't have to stay in Vegas. I want to keep my options open. So I'm like, okay, well, if TV and film is really good right now, then I'm gonna go do TV and film. But I do want to set goals for myself of, okay, well, let's make sure we submit to auditions. Like just don't sit around lazy, because if you don't work, then you know you have to put the effort in. I want to take my singing seriously. I want to start taking my dancing seriously. Like I'm not a trained dancer. I just go to like move. I'm like, okay, maybe I can get the hang of this. So like just doing things that make me happy but also help my career is like what I'm aiming for.
I love that. Because you're not taking it too seriously.
I was like, you gotta laugh at yourself sometimes.
It's a new generation. And then when I was training, trust me, it was not that easy, so I'm kind of envious of you. But is there a certain legacy that you're trying to leave behind if you do cultivate your goals in the future, your future self, future destiny 10 years from now? Is there a kind of legacy that you want to leave?
I just want people to be able to see the light in me or something. Like I have a lot of I do have like an RBF sometimes. Like a lot of people before they know me, they're like, "Wow, you're like really intimidating." I'm like, "What?" Like no, like I'm like when you get to know me and talk to me, I'm like so smiley and bubbly and just like open to anything. And I want like girls who look like me or when I was younger to be like, "Oh my gosh, like she looks like me." Like representation is big, and being able to really speak up on things that you believe about. Like some things, like, you know, you just can't sweep some things under the rug. It's like, if you have a platform, use your voice. And I'm really big on that. Like some people might disagree, some people might hate me, but I'm like, hey, if I know I'm doing right and God knows I'm doing right, then I'm doing right. So I'm good.
At least you're living a life on your terms. You're not doing it because someone told you to. And I love that. Because I think the biggest thing, and I want to applaud you for this, is the fact that you're finding this out early on in your training years. Which is still now, even though you're 22 and like, you did it in one school and you're going to another. It's still kind of a very impressionable time
100%.
in the industry. And those years, no matter what decade, everyone falls under that whole, okay, well, I have to be this because what if I never get to work again? Or like I have to do this because that's just kind of how I have to build reputation, right? I don't want to be that one that causes the set to be in uproar. You know, everyone's got to stop rehearsals on this play and we're going to open in 2 weeks, right? Like, you don't want to be that person, but sometimes you have to in order for things to change. And then it's the gamble of being like, well, I can get kicked out. You know, they can replace me. And then you have to be strong enough to know, okay, if they do, then they do. Because, like, this job is not for me then.
I was like, if it's for me, it'll be for me.
And so I applaud you at this age, at 22, doing this, because when I was 22, it's like it was back in the old school days, right? The old school thinking, whereas this is equals this. So this is how it has to be this time, especially in theater.
Oh, 100%.
So I am very glad that this is I'm seeing things revolutionizing.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm seeing it. So this last question that I want to ask, I ask all of my guests, and it kind of sums up their own personality and why they do what they do. And is there a philosophy that you live by?
God. I was like, you know what? Yeah, like nothing to me matters. I'm like, I pray every day. I'm like, God, if it's for me, it'll happen. If you want this for me, open those doors. I grew up in a Christian household, and recently I was like, okay, well, like, why am I a Christian? Like, you know, sometimes we have like those burdens of, oh, well, I just grew up, so I'm just in the church. Yeah. And I'm like, no, like I want to go on my own spiritual journey. Like I want to know for myself, not just because how I was raised, but I really want to know these answers. And I'm like, you know what? Like I found those answers, and I talked to him. I'm like, you know what? If it's for me, nothing can be against me. And I feel like a lot of people see that in me. They're like, oh my gosh, like even like your hardest times, you're just so bubbly and down. I'm like, I mean, what am I going to worry about it for? I can't fix things, you know. Like I give it to him. He does it all for me. And I just live my life. I'm like, hey, I don't have gas money right now. Give it to him. I'll have gas money tomorrow. You never know, right? It's like, so I was like, God first. Like that's that's my number one. I was like, all this can die off. All this can mean nothing to me. And I still have him, and I'm set.
Yeah. What I love about hearing those answers is everyone's is different, obviously. But I always start with a full interview. The viewers get to learn a little about you, and then you slowly start to show your true personality. Yeah. And that one answer alone kind of just showcases your authenticity. Right? And I love that, because that's the first time I ever heard someone, you know, mention any sort of religious figure or anything outside of like, oh, like, just work hard, or like, oh, just, you know, don't take things too seriously, right? Like, it's very, like, cliche. And not that there's anything wrong with that, because that's them, but, like, that's the first time that I really see someone very invested in their faith and let that guide them. Yeah. Because we're in such a world where we're like, oh my God, like, I want to control everything. Like, if this doesn't work out, oh my God, my life's over, right? Right. But
it's hard times out here.
I know, but I love it. Like, you're sitting here, like, you're 22, and you kind of have like this bright light. Like I feel like when you mentioned RBF, I was like, between the two of them, I'm like, come on. I didn't get that. Like you came in like, hey. But you know, it's absolutely amazing, and I think that you're gonna go shimmy far just by your personality alone. And I hope nothing, even New York, because I know how New York can be and the industry can be, does not dampen that shine. I want you to come back. Yeah. And like, if I'm still doing this, like here or somewhere else in like 5 years, I want you to like be shining more. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, it's like, I'm like my little daughter now. Like, no, do not kill her, New York. I already know you. Don't do it. But that's absolutely amazing. So I cannot wait to see what you do. Thank you so much. Are you going? Did you make the choice to go to that school?
I haven't decided just yet, but I'm definitely like weighing my options. Like it's 100% not cut out. I was like, there's something drawing me to New York. I'm like, okay, well, if this is my next path, then I'm gonna make it happen. Yeah. My advice always to people is you'll feel when you're in a place. Yeah. If you feel you belong there. 100%. Or not. Yeah. You know, I would always advise people that would ask me is never go to a place because you think that place is gonna make you. You know, everyone's gonna say, oh yeah, LA and New York are the places you have to be. Theater and film, but like if you don't like it there, like nothing's gonna like happen. You know what I'm saying? That's so true. So I love that you're going with the flow, because my next question was gonna be like, when are you starting? But you haven't made that choice yet. But for the viewers there, where can they look for you? Oh yes, my Instagram. So it's just Destiny Blacque. So DESTINY BLACQUE, and that's on TikTok and Instagram. And are you open to probably doing film and like anyone kind of? Yeah, hit me up. My DMs are open. I do. I never like, unless it's like a scheduling conflict, I never say no to a project because I'm always willing to expand my resume. I would rather have experience than not. So I'm always open. I love a hard worker. Yeah, I'm like, well, hey, put me in the background. I don't care. I'll stand there and shake my finger, you know. I know. And I figured out you're a Capricorn, so you're I am, yeah. When I tell people I do research, I already know it. You're sitting there like, oh my God, I was like, Capricorns, they have that superstition, like, oh, they work so hard. I'm like, I think it's true.
But it's good, though.
I was like, yeah.
You know, it's the earth sign.
Yeah.
Right? You
gotta stay solid, you know?
You know, hey, it always works out in the end, right?
It does.
And I'm already so proud of you, and I love the energy that you're bringing here. I now know why you're constantly coming back to every single show. And I love it, because I did watch a little bit of yours and Dawn.
Oh, the little ghost hunting?
Yeah. Wait a minute, that's another thing I want to see something you were tagged in. There's like a ghost hunting, you and two other girls that go out and test the supernatural.
We're living the life.
What? Okay. Now so what is that about? Like, do you really go to like on a place? Is that like a passion of yours?
Well, honestly, I met them at. We were all coworkers, and we just like bonded, and now we're like tied at the hip. So we all loved watching like scary movies, ghost stuff, ghost adventures. We're always talking about it. Sam and Colby on YouTube, and when Anna, she's like, well, why don't we just do it? I mean, Adriana are like, oh, okay. Why not? So we haven't done it in a while just because we're always like somewhere else, like considering like halftime, because we just do it at halftime. So it's like we just go to places in Vegas. So like we went to Luxor, Circus, Excalibur, the Flamingo. Yeah, I've had some gnarly experiences.
Yeah, what's the most like shaky experience you've had?
I feel like I don't remember what hotel it was exactly, but I had on a jacket, and because there's an escape room here in Vegas, it's called The Basement. I used to work there, so I had. Oh dear. Yes, I had like the jacket, so it said like The Basement on it, and so I'm just wearing it like loggy-gagging, just messing with the camera, and then on Adriana's phone, like we like use those little ghost tube apps just for fun to see if anything does come through, and it said Basement, and I'm like in my own little world, like I'm not paying attention, and Adriana and Anna are like, basement? What do you mean? There's no basement here. I'm like, huh? The basement? We just walked in here. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I look down like, oh, it's talking about me. I have a jacket that says The Basement on it. And like that entire night, like we had the dowsing rods. I showed them on the other episode. Like everywhere I would walk, it would follow me.
Oh no.
Yeah. So sometimes like, I don't want to, like, spirits or whatever you want to call them, they like to get attached, but you do have to be strong. Like, you're not coming home with me.
Set the boundary.
Yeah, like,
people don't know how to do that.
Yeah, like, I'll be your friend now, but you're going to stay here. And I'm big on that. That's why I'm also, like, huge on my faith. I'm like, yeah, no, I will cast a demon out in 5 seconds.
Should I have brought some salt in this room, Maria?
Right? It's like,
salt the studio? Because you love to, you know.
I know. Like, thankfully, nothing has ever followed me. I'm super grateful.
Have you been to the Zach?
I have. I think I've been like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, Adriana, she loves that place. I'm like, girl, she wants to go to the basement. Like, you're.
No, I hear things. I hear people who are really pure pass out.
Yeah.
So,
like, she's very empathetic, so like she can feel
the
things.
So they're like attached to her.
Yeah, like, they like her. Ooh. Me, I'm like, I don't think they like me very much. No. I'm like, no.
Well, that's the best. Like, I hear experiences with people that like they love it, but they like. It doesn't bother them. Yeah. Like, they're just kind of like, okay, well, I'm stronger. Like, ha.
Right, like, I'm
and
alive.
Nothing, they're just like, okay, whatever. But the people who are, like, really pure and go, they're like, oh, my God, I'm so interested. And then they feel and they see everything. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, they're like, this is
not for me.
I'm like, yeah, it's not for everyone. It was like, oh, can I go with you? I'm like, no, you can't, because I'm not, if you get possessed, it's not my fault.
Oh, heck no. Girl, see, I stay far away. I drive past it and I'm like, don't look. We're staying right here because I don't even want to open a door.
Yeah, it's
by saying hi. Like, no, we're not going to do that. Because I know my brain, I'm going to do it.
Right.
I'm going to look over there and that's it.
You might see something in the corner. It's like, gotta go.
No, see? Anyway, but yes, that was a great, afterthought. Joke. We didn't end the interview right there. We talking about ghosts now. But amazing. Yes. I love how versatile you are, and I love how you're just you love doing it, so you're just going to go in with your faith and stay happy doing it. No pressure. I love it. So I would have definitely hear your experiences, DM me, girl, let the world know, come back on my show. But everyone, Destiny Blacque, please follow her, round of applause, make sure to reach out to her, wish her the best, watch everything that she does, support her. I think that she just has a great light about her, but she's also strong, and she's not going to take no poop from anybody.
That's
and
right.
We love it. We love a strong woman here, girl. All right, and then when we come back, we're going to switch gears over to something more funky, and I cannot wait to introduce you to her. And so make sure you don't go anywhere. Refill your drinks, Continue your lunch. Don't move out of your seat even if your butt hurts because we're not done talking. See you after the break.